Hi everyone. I, 17, female, recently moved out of my mom's house along with my sister, 11, female, so we could stay with my aunt until my parents sort things out because they've been having some trouble regarding where we should stay. My parents have been divorced for the past 8 years, and in the beginning, things were easier because my dad used to live just down the street to be closer to us, even though he and my mother were not on good terms. But still, for us, he continued to stay close to us. However, 2 years ago, he moved away for better work opportunities in another state, and I don't blame him for that, but I do miss having him around and visiting him as frequently as we used to. He wanted to take us along with him, but I had just started high school at the time and I did not want to make the move. I was not ready to leave all my friends behind, to leave my life behind and start again in a new place. And my younger sister felt the same way. So even though we love him, we decided to stay back with our mom. He moved away by himself and he visits every other weekend to spend time with us. Earlier, he used to have us every weekend, but now that has changed and it was a bit hard to get used to in the beginning. But we made our peace with it. For 1 year, we were fine, but then last year, my mom started dating this guy, and I don't know what happened to her. But she changed in a way that I don't even recognize that woman anymore. Her new boyfriend, let's call him Kyle, is 10 years younger than her and has 2 kids from 2 different women, and he wasn't married to either of them. They've been dating for almost a year and they seem pretty serious because all she can do is talk about him and she spends most of her time with him. Earlier, whenever she used to come back from work, we used to hang out together and have some quality mother-daughter time. That doesn't happen anymore because all her time is just reserved for Kyle and his kids, who are both around toddler age. They also visit quite frequently. If my mom's not at their place, they are here. And I don't have anything against Kyle, but I can tell for a fact that he doesn't like me or my sister that much. He doesn't make any attempts to talk to us when he comes over. He never smiles at us, and most of the time he doesn't even acknowledge our existence, even if we are in the same room. I've spoken to my mom about it as well, but she thinks that we're just overthinking things, and she thinks that Kyle is a nice guy, and she's quite serious about him. So she wants us to like him, even though he's made it very clear that he couldn't care less about her. So anyway, that's the situation at home, and it's been kind of dicey, honestly. I didn't speak to my father about it because he and my mom already don't get along well, and I didn't want him to worry too much about us. But then recently I had to tell him everything because my mom decided to go away for an impromptu vacation with Kyle and his kids. About a week ago, I woke up to an empty house and it was just me and my sister at home. We waited until noon since it was the weekend and we figured that my mom might have gone out shopping or something, and we kept trying to call her, but she just didn't respond. We started getting worried, and in the evening I was about to go to the cops or call my dad, but then she finally called us back and she explained that that morning she'd received a call from Kyle saying that he wanted to take her out on a family vacation with him and the kids because he wanted her to get to know them better. And she had agreed and packed up her stuff and left with him. There was no discussion. She didn't even bother telling us about it until she had already made up her mind, and even after that, she didn't end up leaving any sort of note or explanation for us. I was obviously furious because this was just not okay, since both my sister and I are minors, and even though I might be 16 and almost at an age where I can be treated like an adult, that doesn't mean that she gets to do stuff like this and get away with it. I told her that this was not acceptable, and instead of acknowledging her mistake, she decided to tell me that I needed to grow up and stop being a brat. And then she hung up without even waiting for me to respond or talk to her. That was it for me. I was already pretty upset with her, and when she said that, I decided to call my father up and I told him everything. Not just about this particular incident, but everything about Kyle and how he had been treating us and how my mom didn't see any problem with it and continued to prioritize him and his kids over us. He heard us out, and then he told us to go stay with his sister, our aunt, who lives a couple of blocks away, because it's going to take him some time to sort this out. And clearly, my mom doesn't have any intention of coming back home anytime soon. And we need to be taken care of. So for us to be left home alone for so long is not a good idea. So that's what we did. And since then, we've been staying with our aunt while our parents are trying to sort things out, and it's pretty difficult. After my phone call to my father, I'm guessing that my parents had some sort of fight or confrontation, and it didn't go down too well with my dad. So he has decided to file for full custody of both my sister and me, because I'm going to graduate in a couple of months, and until then, I can stay with my aunt. Then I'll move in with him, and for my sister, my dad's already planning on having her move in with him as soon as possible. But my mom is not happy about this custody arrangement. Even though my dad doesn't have a problem with her having us for the weekends, and he's even offered to fly us back home every alternate weekend so we can see her. However, seeing us is not the problem. She just wants us to stay with her because otherwise she'll be losing her big fat child support paycheck that she's been receiving every single month since the divorce, because she doesn't make as much money as my dad. And I know that for a fact because she literally said that to me a couple of days back after my dad had filed his petition for full custody. She said she needs the child support money to be able to support herself, and without it, her life will be pretty difficult because she's used to a certain kind of lifestyle, and we can't just take that away from her after everything that she's done for us her whole life. She was pretty hysterical, and she was crying, and I just felt really bad for her. She's my mom after all, and even though the past year has been difficult for us as a family, I really wanted to be able to make it through it without having some sort of trouble like this. And now I feel like I'm the root of all problems because I am almost an adult and I should have been able to handle staying at home alone for just a couple of days with my sister without having to run to my father and complain about whatever the situation was. I feel bad about what I did, and I feel responsible for this whole thing. I've spoken to my sister about it, and even though she's pretty young, she told me I don't need to feel that way, but I don't feel that reassured. I can't speak to my friends about any of this because it's too personal, so I'm posting it here because I really want to know if I'm the bad guy here or not. It sure feels that way now, to be very honest. So, aita, did I complain to my dad about my mom leaving me and my sister home alone so she could go on a family vacation with her new boyfriend and his kids? Update 1. Thank you so much for all the supportive comments. It really means a lot to me, especially right now, because I've been doubting myself a lot. And I had no idea if what I had done was the right thing or not. Of course, there were a few negative comments, but I chose to focus on the overwhelmingly powerful positive comments, which let me know that I'm not in the wrong and there's no need for me to feel guilty about what was happening because it's really not my fault. So that has made me feel a lot more confident about my decision, and I'm going to stick to it. I've told my mom that I'm not going to go back to her because honestly, I've given her many chances, but she's made it clear that for her, Kyle is more of a priority right now. I wouldn't even have a problem with that because she's allowed to move on with her life. She's allowed to have new relationships, but at the end of the day, we are her family. We are her flesh and blood. So obviously, there are certain expectations that we have from her because she signed up for our responsibility. She was the one who said that she would take care of us since our dad was moving away, but now I'm beginning to think that that was all for the child support. Ever since the divorce, she's always been receiving child support, but after my dad moved away, that amount was increased because now he's not just around the corner anymore. And she made it pretty clear to us. She literally spelled it out for us, saying that these support paychecks were important for her. I don't think that was a good idea for her to say that while we were already contemplating going back to her. Most of you guys pointed it out in the comments, and I'm going to bring it up with my dad if it helps his case, because that was really unfair for her to say. It made me feel like she did not value us at all. She was just interested in the money. I wouldn't say that she never loved us, that she never valued us, because that would be a lie. But right now, I don't think that she cares much about us because she's really changed after she met Kyle and started dating him. I honestly wish that we could go back to the kind of relationship we used to have before she met him and introduced him to our family. But right now, that just seems quite impossible to achieve given the current situation. And the saddest part is, I don't even think that she's willing to accept her mistake. At least that doesn't seem to be the case from the conversation we had a few hours back. Because in the past couple of days, she's been calling me every single day to talk to me and convince me to tell my dad to back off and let the custody arrangement remain the same. She has been trying very hard to convince me of the fact that she's not the one at fault. And I should have just been a little more mature instead of telling tales. And before this, I had just been trying to defend myself. But today, I told her that I was not going to do any of that, and she needed to stop calling me and bothering me all the time, because at the end of the day, it was her own mistake. And she needed to accept that. I told her she couldn't just blame me for her own faults and expect me to be fine with it for whatever reason. I also told her that whatever she had said about the child support money, it was really tacky and it did not need to be said because it was in bad taste, because now it just feels like the only reason she wanted us with her was because of the money that was coming in every month. Basically, I told her everything that I'd been thinking about, and I expected her to be at least a little sorry about everything that had happened, but instead, she just started yelling at me and said that I was instigating my father and this was all my fault. She told me that I was acting entitled and said that she was unhappy, that she was choosing to move on with her life. That was obviously not the case at all. So we ended up getting into a fight over the phone, and in the end, I just blocked her because she was just infuriating, and talking to her was the most frustrating thing I tried to do. I thought that I would be able to take a stand for myself, and I'm proud of the fact I tried at least. But I'm not talking to her anymore because I'm just done with this. Clearly, she doesn't think that any of this is her own fault, and is just looking for a way to make this all my fault. But I'm not going to let that happen anymore. I'm just done. I've blocked her, and I'm going to tell my dad everything that's happened. If she thinks that I'm telling tales, then so be it. Because I think I've been very patient with her, and I've tried to respect the fact that she's been there for us and been a good mom for so long, but that doesn't mean that she gets to treat us however she wants now. I can't do this anymore. I can't go on pretending that she still deserves the chance after everything that she's said and done. And if I'm being honest, I really hope that my dad gets full custody of us. And while I hope this doesn't go to family court and get dragged out, I honestly wouldn't mind if I had to speak up against my mom. Update 2. So it's been a month and a half since my last update, and my parents are currently in the negotiation phase. My dad has continued his ritual of visiting us every alternate weekend. The only difference is that right now, since we're staying with my aunt, he doesn't have to go to my mom's place anymore. We haven't even spoken since the last fight we had, and honestly, I don't intend on talking to her anytime soon. Because clearly, she's not sorry about anything she's done or whatever she's put us through, and until she feels any sort of regret or remorse, I don't feel interested in speaking to her. My dad obviously cannot fly down here for every mediation session. So they've been conducted online, and my dad has told me that my mom is just not ready to give up custody of us. I've even told him that she told us she does not want to lose the child support money, and he's even brought it up, but she's still not ready to back down, so this might end up going to court. And then she'll definitely lose because after all, the things that she has said, I hardly think that any judge in their right mind will rule in her favor. Even then, I don't think it should be necessary for this to go to court because it's clear that my mom doesn't really want us to be with her. She's more interested in Kyle and building a relationship with him. So she should focus on that and leave us alone. There's no point in dragging this out when she knows that she's going to lose it eventually. She hasn't even contacted us in the past couple of weeks, and she's not even made any attempts. I think she's perfectly happy without us, and even though earlier I had had my doubts about whether she was only doing this for the child support money or not now, I don't have any doubt anymore. I know for a fact that she's just fighting for the child support paychecks. She's not fighting for us. Right now, she's not receiving anything, so I'm guessing she's even more infuriated than usual. But it honestly doesn't matter to me anymore. I've blocked her everywhere, and yes, that might make it a little difficult for her to reach out to me, but my sister hasn't blocked her, so she could have spoken to her, but she hasn't tried. I guess that shows us very clearly that she doesn't really care that much. If she did, she would find a way to talk to us and be in touch. And it's not like she doesn't know where my aunt lives. It's not like she has no idea where we are. She could have visited us if she really cared, but she hasn't done that either. All science just pointed towards one thing. She doesn't really care, and it's sad, but that's the truth. Update 3. So it's been a week since my last update, and I have to say, I guess I manifested my mother coming over here. Because of my last update, I have been saying that I know for a fact that she doesn't care because she hasn't even dropped in for a visit to check in on us in the past couple of weeks. But today itself, she showed up completely out of the blue. And of course, before she let my mom in, my aunt had to ask both of us if we wanted to see her. In the beginning, I declined, but then I thought about it and then I decided to talk to her after all because I was really curious to know what she had to say now. So anyway, we met, and I thought that she was going to be emotional and try to reunite with us or something. But of course, I was expecting a little too much. She was very formal, and she told us that she was only here to inform us that things might go to court. And if it did, she would expect us to testify in her favor. Because after all, when our father had abandoned her with the two of us, she had done her best to take care of us all on her own, and she expected us to show her some gratitude for it, even if we didn't feel that way right now. So that was what she was here for. She was here to inform us that things might go to court, and she wanted us to lie about everything and act like we were more than happy to go back to living with her. I spoke for both my sister and me when I told her that we were not going to be doing that. And if it really came down there, we would definitely testify in our father's favor, and we would like to live with him. So then once again, she started getting upset with us and said that we were ungrateful and selfish and that we needed to testify in her favor because otherwise she was going to lose custody of us. And if that happened, she was never going to speak to us or see us again. And that was going to be her personal choice because my father has already said that he's more than okay with her having visiting rights and she can come and see us whenever she wants, even if she loses custody of us. But she informed us that if she loses custody, then she'll have nothing to do with us ever again. So we should tread carefully. So that was the conversation we had. And even by the end, I had told her I was not going to change my mind about who I wanted to stay with. So all these threats are not going to work with me. And then she left. But I got lucky because when she arrived, I had decided to record the conversation just in case she said something that I could send to my father that would maybe prove to be relevant and useful. And I did have her on record saying that if she lost custody of us, then she would never speak to us again. I also had her influence us to testify in her favor, even though we have made it very clear that we are not willing to do that. In our state, this kind of evidence will also be admissible. I checked. So I sent it to my dad, and he told me that And he told me that judging by how things are going right now, this might end up going to court. He hadn't told me about it earlier because he did not want me to worry. But I'm not worried because I know for a fact that if this is going to court, then she's going to lose for sure. I'm not even being overconfident right now. It's just a gut feeling I have. And besides, I'm almost an adult and I can choose who I want to stay with. As for my sister, I'm pretty sure that she'll also want to stay with our dad. So there's just no argument about any of this. I have no idea why my mom is even wasting her time trying to fight this because she knows that she's going to lose. She should know that for a fact. There is no way that even she stands a chance, and this is just going to be a huge waste of her own money. When in fact, she should be saving up right now because I don't see her getting child support paychecks in the future anymore. Honestly, I feel kind of sad that things are turning out like this because we used to be one happy family. But I guess that's not the case anymore. She has chosen Kyle, and I know her priorities now. When my parents were getting divorced, I never thought that things would ever come to a point like this. They were incompatible, and they had tried their very best to make things work for me and my sister's sake. But it just didn't work. And yet I loved and respected both of them equally because I knew that they had really tried for our sake. Now, though, it's just not the same anymore. I miss my mom sometimes, and I think anybody who would be in my position would feel the same way. But I don't think I can go back to her. It's never going to be the same again because it's clear she doesn't feel sorry about anything at all, and I can't stay with a person like that. I just can't do it. Update 4. So the situation was finally taken up in court. They could not come to a conclusion through mediation, but that's not the only news. A couple of days back, I heard from a few relatives that my mother was engaged. She posted about it on social media, and while I'm happy for her, because I know that she really loves Kyle and wanted to be with him, I feel a bit upset that she's going to forget about our family now, because I know for a fact that she's going to lose our custody, and if she sticks to her words, then she's never going to see us again. Don't get me wrong, I'm not upset about the fact that she's engaged to Kyle and that she's going to move on with her life. I'm happy about that. She deserves to be happy as well. And if Kyle makes her happy, then she should be with him. But at the end of the day, we were her family. We were her daughters. I just feel bad that she didn't think that we were important enough for her to swallow her pride and apologize for her mistakes. And that's all that we really wanted. We just wanted her to say she was sorry, to acknowledge that things had gone wrong and try to improve the situation. But she didn't do it. She was too proud to admit that she had messed up, and that's the part that really hurts, you know? I know my dad has an uphill battle ahead of him now because things are going to be quite stressful for all of us in the family. I know for a fact that my mom is going to do all that she can to retain our custody, even though we might not be happy about it. And she's going to try and make things as difficult as possible for our father, and I feel bad for him as well. I just feel bad about this whole situation in general. Nobody deserves to be stuck in a place like this, and most of all, I just feel bad for myself and my sister. I'm graduating in a couple of weeks now. I have so many events to look forward to, but all I can think about is this. Honestly, I just hope and pray that all of this blows over quickly after this because I really just want to move on with my life. I want to have a normal life where I'm not constantly worrying about the situation with my parents anymore. I just want this to be over, and I want to have fun, and I want to be able to live my life freely. Right now, that just seems a lot for me to ask, but in the grand scheme of things, I really feel like I'm asking for very little. I'm just sick and tired of everything that's been going on. I'm just exhausted. Update 5. Hi, so it's been a couple of weeks since my last update, and all of a sudden my mom just randomly decided that she does not want custody of us anymore, and she's willing to cooperate with my dad and give up custody of us. I'm pretty sure that All of this has to do with Kyle, and even though I can't prove it in any way whatsoever, I'm pretty sure that he must be the one who convinced her to give up. On one hand, I'm happy that my dad doesn't have to deal with the struggle of fighting through all of this in court. On the other hand, I'm upset that now my relationship with my mother is irreparably ruined. Because let's be real, you don't bounce back from something like this. But anyway, I'm choosing to see the silver lining in all of this, and that's the fact that my sister and I are finally free from all the stress and drama associated with us. We have been feeling very guilty about whatever was happening, and for some reason we had started to feel that this was all our fault. But now, since everything is over, I think we feel much better and relieved. The situation we are in is not ideal, but at least it's over now. After I graduate from high school and my sister finishes this academic year, we're going to move in with our father. And until then, we are staying with my aunt. Both of them have been so supportive during this time, and I'm very grateful to have them in my life. And now I'm just hoping for a better future for both me